Welcome back to the Elevate Your Best podcast. My name is Michael Danklefs, and today we are doing an interview with the Heroes Tribe, where we have Camilla, Sascha, and Joana. So they've actually had an impact on me. They were involved in a networking group, or Camilla was, and I've actually bought their book, and actually it was an amazing read to see the levels of depth of how they've expanded on the concepts of the hero's journey. And I want to really bring them on as we're going into and working with the emotional month. Is how does that impact us emotionally, being on this hero's journey? So I'd like each of you to please introduce yourselves. If you would start, Camilla, how you got involved with the Heroes Tribe.
Yeah, thank you for having us. We really appreciate being here and talking with you about the hero's journey. We love it. And the Hero Tribe, we met around 8 years ago in Hanoi in Vietnam. And so I was there because back then I come from a career in the five-star hotel industry. And I was then in Vietnam working there for a five-star hotel and was about changing my career as well, my path, being on a new hero's journey adventure. And there I met Sascha and Joana because I went to a Qigong class, and Sascha and Joana were the teacher at that time. And then we met and noticed that we have a lot of things in common and same values and visions for life and for humanity. And we started to work together. And first it was creating training camps, actually creating the camp that we always wanted to attend, where different parts are all coming together from mental work, self-development work, but also working with your body. And I guess we will dive into that subject maybe later as well more. And from there, from the first camp that we organized, it developed. We then founded the Hero Tribe. We worked intensively with the hero's journey and started also mentoring one-on-one people who are on their hero's journey. And so that's how we got together. And my background is a career in the five-star hotel industry. What I'm also bringing into the Hero Tribe is combining these business aspects with integrating or combining it with your really inner calling. And then I hand over to Sascha.
Yeah, hi, my name is Sascha Wagner, and my hero's journey is basically I started martial arts when I was pretty young. And I always wanted to have that mystical experience, this real hero's journey experience, like meeting the mentor, being exposed to a mystical new surrounding. And what I could get back in Germany, where I grew up, was going to a local dojo, which was pretty good, intense training. And I began doing competitions and training almost every day. But it wasn't what I really was looking for. So I went to Asia and then studied Japanese history and language at university. And it became like a lifelong research trip. And many years later, I had a 2-year-long research trip around the world where I also did documentaries about what I could find. And I was looking for old, almost lost traditions in martial arts and in energy healing and other classical modalities. And during that 2-year research trip, we actually all met in Hanoi. Joana and me, we knew each other before. And for me, that I always had this inner pain of bringing all these things that I learned, all these methodologies into one coherent thing. That was a really strong pain point for me for decades almost. And the Hero Tribe really fulfilled that in the end, because there I can put all this stuff that I learned in monasteries and with tribal warriors and whatever I did, there's a place for it in the Hero Tribe. And that's what I bring in, and that's also what soothes my soul in the process.
No, thank you for your stories. And so to keep it brief, you can say that my background is in science, natural science, environmental science, landscape ecology. And ever since I remember, I was really drawn to nature and the connection to nature. And I always found this kind of magic in there. And when then I pursued this path of science, I realized I cannot really do anything with that knowledge so much in protecting what I appreciate in nature, because in the end, I don't have to talk to nature to create. I have to talk to people to make it, to make a difference or a change in perception or a change in what we value. And that, together with like my own personal path of different sicknesses or disease, mentally or physically, really brought me on that path of healing, both in the environment as a scientist, but also in shamanism, and in the personal life as in energy work, and also again shamanism. Yeah, for me, what I bring into the Hero Tribe is this bringing together what seems contradictory and what seems to create conflict within ourselves. Let it be the ratio and the spiritual part that we all have cravings for in one or another way or dimension, and just bringing these together and creating this coherence within each other, but also in communication with other people and the nature.
Very nice. You definitely are my tribe, because I too am come from a technical background. I've been an IT person for a really long time, programming, sales support, all that kind of stuff. But I'm also trained in Reiki and Belvespita, and the vehicle for me is actually going out in nature and the climb and the journey that we're on. So I very much appreciate each of you bringing your different value, and it so resonates with what I connect with, as well as what we talk about here on the podcast. So I'm glad we were able to bring you on to actually connect with my community to yours, and vice versa. Really, that's what this podcast is about, elevating other people to the highest level that they can go. And if it's through conversations, if it's sharing knowledge, if it's sharing experience. And it sounds like that's what you're doing on the in-person side of things with the retreats and the tribe and the online stuff that you're doing as well, which I think is fantastic. Joanna, I guess I'll start with you. What would you define as the definition of the hero's journey?
The definition of the hero's journey you can perceive as like a blueprint or a primordial pattern of how humans tell stories of their own emotional growth or path. We are used to and trained, or we grew up the last thousands of years in having a certain theme of stories that we resonate with, because it seems to be the seed of where different experiences come from. So myths and fairy tales and stories of gods and like ancient Greek mythology. It's all really based on this one core of how a human walks their path. And you can say, this is the hero's journey. It has a grit, but it comes in thousands of different matrices or shades. Yeah. Maybe everybody will say the same thing, but add different spices to it now.
And that's why I wanted to, touch on, because I know that Sascha is very much about the hero's journey, and I heard that in his introduction. I want to know what yours was specifically, because I didn't quite hear that. I get that you're balancing both the science as well as this spiritual aspect, but really wanted to, know what your definition was for this, because I see a lot of that in the book for sure, as far as what the definition is, but your personal experience is so much more impactful for me. And we've already heard how each of you contributes to the heroes. When you came together, was it like just slice it up and you're in charge of the hospitality aspect, you're in charge of the physical aspect, and you're in charge of the spiritual aspect? Or how did you each kind of contribute to that original idea of the Heroes Tribe?
That's an interesting question, to see the organic movement in there.
I think how it then started, like back then, when we met, I actually opened up a fitness studio with a Vietnamese friend in Vietnam. And so it started that I invited Sascha to offer workshops at my fitness studio there. And so from there, we started to working that I took over like organizational stuff, because that's like my background as well, working in the hotel and like for the hospitality part of having events and then working with the customers. And so that's what we started off with. And then our first camp was like, I think the first camp was really like trying out, like as well, like everyone had their parts in it. We all had always parts of teaching, and my background is as well like yin yoga, and I got now as well trained as a qigong teacher. And so then we found, and we always were communicating, okay, so which parts are your strengths? What do you enjoy like doing? And somehow it really fits on what each of us likes to do and has their strengths. And yeah, maybe you want to add something.
I would say it's, like you said, it's an organic process, and that makes it more sustainable maybe than like in the beginning. Sometimes that's what startups have to do also. Like they hire the sales guy, they hire the, I don't know, the one with the IT hat on. And that's good for them, but in our case, it had to be organically. And it's still a process, I would say, that will probably never end. We have people in the team now, and the process starts all over again. Of course, we hire them for a specific thing, but then the Hero Tribe is a very diverse place, so they can bring in whatever they want to bring in. And so they have to define their role with us together. And it's a beautiful process, I think. It's just sometimes you have to take your ego and put it behind you,
or allow that it's being looked at, even if it's uncomfortable.
Especially in this personal development space, having everyone's ego kind of out for everyone to see, and then okay, I can use this part as a strength to build the larger whole, or not if it's not appropriate. So I like the fact that it does go so organically, and if you can get to that space where ego is not what's driving you, that can be really helpful. So I'm glad that you're playing in that space. Did you have something, Joana?
What makes it really organic, or it grew naturally, is that in the beginning we didn't aim on creating the Hero Tribe. In the very, very early baby seed steps, we literally just wanted to create an event that we would ourselves love to attend. You could say that we were playing, and when you play, you don't plan. You use like, yeah, I can do this, and yeah, I can do this, and then let's see what happens, and wow, look at it, it's amazing. And then we were so enthusiastic, like, oh, it's great, and the people loved it, and we're like, let's do this for real. Yeah.
Is that a day? I've never worked a day in my life because my work is play, but I like that, and you're willing to be far more adventurous too when it's play versus wow, this is the doldrums of work, which I'm sure rubbed up against you, Camilla, with that organizational mind that you just want to put everything in the boxes and line them up and schedule and make they're done by deadline. So how did you navigate that?
How do you navigate us?
Oh God. Well, it is still such a big factor. I like to control, I have to admit, and I had to let go of it a lot and learn to let go of it. And it's still an ongoing process as well. So at the beginning, it was like, I'm not like, those two are really like the creative ones. And I actually, over all these years, been trained in the 5-star hotel where you are very much placed into a box. Really, I didn't allow any creativity that I have in me to come out. I didn't know anymore how to be creative, and just like having this control part. I learned a lot from those two to bring back my creativity, and playing around with me being in charge of that. We're sticking to time and schedule things, and there were some stressful moments, but it's been a very gross experience, and a good one. I think I got so much enriched by working and having the tribe environment. Yeah.
And that's so great when you work in a team, that there's always this contribution for each other. One person, him or herself, can only do that much. When you gather together, it is more than the sum.
Absolutely. And certainly as the energies coalesce and actually they magnify each other, certainly.
Yeah.
As each of you brings your own strengths, and I'm sure that the organization from Camilla helped bring things down to earth, and at the same time you still have your head in the clouds. So we each, especially on teams, it's a matter of where do we have our strengths and where do our strengths fill in the weaknesses of the other people on the tribe. So it's awesome that you've found that balance with that, because I 100% on finding the right team to accomplish that too. So in that mindset, I know this was one of the questions that we had originally talked about, but how do you vet new team members on whether they will fit into this dynamic?
It's a good question. I think that's, again, something that we're still experimenting with. Let me answer that. We chose places where we have our retreats, not by like that they are perfect for what we are looking for, but that we have a really good connection to the people there. And we have this almost like a rule now, which says we only take retreat places where we consider the people living there as friends, as close friends, where we love to go even when we don't have a camp. And probably that's also what influenced our team choices now. So the people working with us, they are friends and just very cool people to the tribe vibe.
So then, has there ever been a time when you're like, nope, you don't qualify for our team?
It's more if we look for a new team member, we already have sometimes, like most of the time, we have certain people in mind. And if we spread the word, it's not very out there. It's more like really sensitively checking the social environment and networks and seeing whom we have in the network already, and then choosing someone who we all feel resonating with. And then first just having contact and seeing and feeling how the connection itself is. And yeah, then going into the opening of, hey, would you like to work?
Gotcha. Yeah, 'cause the reason why I asked that is because I know it can be really challenging when you have somebody join the team and they're the lead weight and they're actually slowing everybody down. And you don't always know that ahead of time. And you can certainly try to correct that. But if their energy is not there, like how do you then approach that with the tribe? In prehistoric days, it's like you get banished from the tribe and you're now out of the wilderness and you're destined to die. It's a very different culture that we have now here. But have you ever had to approach it from that perspective of this isn't working for us anymore?
What we also try from the beginning on, when someone joins the team, that we really speak openly and checking as well. Very often, if we feel like, okay, this doesn't work so well, then usually it's also from the other side. It's rarely that it's just a one-side game where there's the boss and says, you are not doing your job and it doesn't work with you, that the other person maybe does not have a feeling of this is not the right place for me. And as our philosophy is, and what we're working on is that everyone is on their hero's journey and everyone has to follow their inner calling to be content and happy and satisfied. If we are not a good match with the person who works with us, it's definitely vice versa. And so we have to look like, okay, what is not working here? And very often it's just certain tasks. And then we need to see, okay, we see in these parts you are brilliant and you bring so much into the team. Okay, can we find a way, either you do, I don't know, less hours and we bring another person in, or maybe we need to, you have to find a new position where you're more happy, but we help you and find a good way. Yeah, that's what we so experience. But so far, at least, we did not have any kind of harsh fire process. Or
someone to the desert. Let's keep that in mind.
It could lead to great hero's journey enlightenment and coming back with the whole treasure and elixir that the tribe needs.
You've been voluntold for the vision quest for this quarter.
Actually, I don't mind if you tell me that once in a while.
Okay.
I have a reason to do it.
Very nice. In some ways, I was going toward the space of what would you say the biggest barrier you've had to overcome so far? Because being that it is a tribe, it's a lot about, what would you say that your barrier to, now that you've built the Euro tribe and you're doing the retreats around in that space, what have you overcome?
Who wants to go first?
Let's hear from Sascha. We haven't really heard a lot from him.
Yeah.
It's a good question, yeah. Well, I can just answer it personally. I am a very introvert person. I'm trained in going on my own hero's journeys, traveling to Asia on my own, meeting occasional friends there, but basically like training in a temple 9 to 12 hours a day. And I had my difficulties in exposing myself. I was really good at teaching in front of big groups because that's what I did since I'm young. But it's a very different thing to keep the space for a whole tribe, to communicate with individuals, to help them on their path. And that's a big thing that I had to overcome. And probably sometimes I still have to work on that. You can definitely be an introvert and found something with a great impact and a global tribe, but you have to work on it. That's what I found out. And it often hindered me in. What about you?
Me?
Yeah.
All right, it's my turn. Greatest obstacle with the hero tribe. I would say for me personally, it would be the complete commitment. As I already told you, I come from studying science and I perceived it as like my path and like striving towards also doing my PhD and having this dream of this one project that will change the world. And I I feel so relieved in having made a choice to something where I can feel fulfilling one of my purposes in life every day. And being able to create that space and hold that space is really wonderful, actually, because that's one of my strengths. What Sascha said is one of his challenges. For me, is one of my strengths. I'm very good talking to strangers. I have no problem. I love that. I love meeting new people. And I also love, connecting and holding the space for people. And in making a decision and committing to the tribe, I think that was my biggest challenge for years. And it also is the greatest gift now. So in every area lies a great treasure.
Yeah, I think my greatest barrier was we are not just business partners, we are also really good friends and living together with Sascha. And so we are 24 hours together, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And my strength is as well to keep people together and to organize and to always have the need that everyone feels happy and everything is great. And not losing myself on that path, I would say, is still a challenge for me, because you know yourself, if you have your own business, you can just work every day, 24 hours and longer if the time would give us that space. And taking time for me and still following, besides my purpose and my pleasure and passion in the Hero Tribe work, I have also interests that have nothing to do with the business, and not neglecting them and taking time for me, going out alone or also going on holidays alone where I can just do something for me. I think that is a challenge that we're still working on, because it's such fun as well. And then working and 2 weeks later you think, oh God, I'm tired, and why didn't I take a day off?
Gotcha. So I like how you each have your own individual barriers that you have overcome, and they seem to all be on polar opposites. When did you come together to actually overcome something as a tribe? Being that this is such a team, such a partnership, what was the barrier that you all had to bring something to the table to overcome it?
So when you ask that question, the first thing that comes to my mind is that the tribes, as we are basically the founders of the tribe and we're like the head spirits of the tribe, everything that is our barrier becomes the tribe barrier. So if we don't work on our own demons, we say, like the thought patterns or the energy parts that fell out of unity inside of us, if we don't work on them, they become a tribe. And having, as you said, like this triangular polarity, if we come together, that polarity always works in the field. And we have, every time when something comes up in between of us, like in every team and in every business, we work on that and we put it on the table, or we say, okay, now it is not the time for it to unfold, or it is the time for it to unfold. And then we work on it and working through and try to find that healing for it, because otherwise it will always be a resistance of our growth. Does that answer?
I would say this. We are here for 1.5 months now in Sweden. And it's a very intense time for the tribe development, but it's very intense time for our personal development as well, because there is so much coming up, which is brilliant, because it's like being in this frying pan where things are heating up and happening. And we have this rule that stuff that we are working on is not so important like our personal development. So when there is a blockage showing up, a demon waving his hand, then we actually did stop meetings, for example, and say, okay, meeting will resume after we applied therapeutic talk about that. And then we try to resolve it. And it's really something where I'm extremely grateful for, that I had this opportunity for the last years, because usually that's hard. When I remember when there was something on my travel experience, for example, well, you have to find someone or hopefully meet someone you can talk to, but we have this luxury of instantly having someone who is also trained in dealing with the stuff coming up.
Gotcha. And I like the fact that you can actually say, okay, business is off right now, time for healing. You don't always get that in, certainly not in the corporate environment of, okay, it's time to get out the tuning forks and do some Reiki because this meeting's going sideways. You just don't do that in the corporate world at this point. So I'm glad, once again, that each of you is training your own modalities, because it does create that pyramid of strength and that foundation.
I think every company also in the corporate world, they would benefit so much if they would actually do that, because if you have, we are triggering other people, like we are the mirrors of other people. Sometimes, I don't know, Sascha says something and something comes up in me, and usually it's not what Sascha said, but it's this demon that is in me that makes a story out of it. And you have that everywhere. And then in the corporate world, it's blocking the energy and the flow that could be so beneficial of your goal or your company goal that you have and that you want to fulfill, because you have this grunge in yourself. And so I think meditation, qigong, this open conversation when there is a process going on would benefit any company so much.
Yeah, I think the return on investment is not direct, so it's hard to measure, and that's probably why companies are not doing it, because it's not like you do it and instantly everything is great. But if you would constantly develop the people and also their emotional landscapes, it's whoa, what a different corporate world.
Absolutely. And it's actually, originally Camilla and I met each other on the Mastering Authentic Networking Quest that's done by Keith Ferrazzi. And a lot of what he talks about is having honest feedback, having a space that is safe for you to work with people. So it seems an embodiment of those practices for you to hold the space for so that they can actually go through their process. So then it ends up positively affecting the business as well, because then those blockages, those demons are vanquished and we can all move together as a team. So that's awesome. But coming back to this idea of the pace of the leader is the pace of the pack, that since you are leading this, you are the foundational members, that yes, I 100% agree that any demons that come up for you, if not vanquished, will actually infect the rest of the tribe. And I think that those in leadership don't always necessarily understand that, is that through your leadership personal growth is when you become a better leader. And your team becomes better team members as you work on your own stuff. So that's awesome. So then what was the biggest win then? That's the biggest barrier that you've overcome. What would you say the biggest wins up to date so far that you've accomplished together as a tribe?
I would say what really satisfies us is to see the stories of people, and the people coming into the tribe, the ones that went to our camps, the ones that are just in the vicinity of the tribe and sometimes pop up in an online event, and also, of course, the ones that we work closely with in our mentorship programs. They all come with this wish and this calling to live out their hero's journey, and this, what I can totally relate to, what I had the most parts of my life, is there is something inside of me or out there in the world, but I cannot completely grasp it, and something is missing, and I probably miss some skills or just the right methods to get there. And what we see is just miraculous transformations, and also sometimes that people start with a certain goal in mind, and then the universe decides for something else, and that is then probably exactly what they needed to get or achieve. And seeing these transformations in people, and sometimes also how they really see it in a mentor is not there to create what the person is looking for. A mentor is just there to stand at the side and give some helpful guidance, holding the space, and the universe does the work, and the person, of course. And so it's super exciting sometimes to see what the universe does. We had someone whose goal was really to get a relationship, and also to have his own family in the end. And we said in the beginning, hey, that it's great, but we cannot promise you that, obviously. And then we went through this whole process, and it ended up that after the process, he was on a really high state, but nothing had happened in the field of relationships. And then just 2 months later, he sent us a message, hey, I met someone. And he went to a camp again and we talked about it. And yeah, he's now in a relationship, and the lady, she had previously 2 kids. So he has a whole family and is super happy. And that's just, it wasn't what he anticipated. It wasn't what we anticipated, but the universe just said, okay, now you're ready. Here it is. And that's awesome.
That is awesome, because this whole idea of the law of attraction is when you actually ask the universe for something, you don't ask about the how, you ask for the what. So it's like being that stage that people miss sometimes is the being willing to receive how it shows up and then taking the conscious action after it. So we've definitely going to talk about that here on the podcast as well. So each of those people that you've touched have obviously made a difference in the world. So thank you for doing that kind of work to help people discover what their hero's journey is. If you were to start this whole project over again from the beginning, what would you do differently?
We talked about that question, and the first thing that came to our mind, we would have got ourselves mentors from the start much earlier. We had a long trial and error time, or what means a long, but quite a bit in the beginning years, and really accelerated over the last 2.5 years when we decided to actually get mentors ourselves. And that was the phase when we decided to write the book, and found mentors who help people to write the book and publish it and do the marketing around. And then also they're working a lot on mindset and everything as well. Yeah, we are super grateful that the universe sent us them. And that's, if we would have done that 5 years ago already, or 6 years ago, who would know where we are now? So we definitely would recommend everyone to get a mentor.
That's what we do now, being mentors for others. And I find this process so interesting, because in retrospect, we needed to make that leap of faith to also invest quite a sum of money, because it's a business mentorship we are in, and they are still mentoring us, and it's absolutely worth it. But of course, you need to trust that what we are doing is worth this investment. And that's exactly what we encounter now with the people who do a mentorship with us. They first need this little kernel of, I'm actually worth it. I think there is something that I can achieve. And so I would also say you cannot really buy this trust, but it would have been great if we had that a little earlier.
I like that idea of trusting that a teacher will come and then they will be there is one aspect of what I hear in this. But the other thing that I think that is one of the people that I follow talks about is, until you've actually learned to invest in yourself, you don't really believe that other people will invest in you.
Yes.
So it's that having that experience of, I've been mentored and it was the thing that changed my life. So now I can actually bring that same level of accountability, that same level of knowledge, that same level of self-worth, that I'm worth this. So it can be really tough for coaches, consultants, waiters, business people to say, yes, the value of my product is this, because this is the value that it changes, because I've experienced it. That eating your own dog food is one of the things that I've heard as if you make something, that you actually use something. So that's awesome. So
I think that's one of the strengths of the Hero Tribe as well, because everything that we offer to people, we literally do on the kitchen table ourselves. Like, we use all the tools and we experiment with new tools, and we try it out and we use it on a daily basis. And that's what gives us the self-assurance and the knowing that the path and the programs that we do, that they're great and that they work.
Which is another reason why I respect all of you so much, is that you're practicing what you're preaching. Because I see so many people that they read something, they pull something off in a book, they read it, and then they pass it on to the next person, rather than experimenting with it and see how it works for them and pass on your experience of it, not the knowledge alone.
And then still, just if something works for us or people we work with, it doesn't mean it has to work for everyone. And that's also true and fair. And And completely, it's also about, like, when somebody searches or looks for a mentor, it's really about finding that resonance and that sympathy with each other and feeling safe with that person. Because it doesn't matter which method one uses if you don't feel safe with that person, or good, or open, or safe enough to open up, literally. And that's what we emphasize a lot, that people can feel safe enough to open.
So we've actually talked around this idea of the Heroes Tribe, and you have a book called The Heroes Handbook about it. But if you were in a couple of sentences, describe what you do at one of the retreats for the Heroes Tribe, what would that be?
Ooh, it's a tough question. The elevator pitch for the Hero Tribe or camps. Yeah, I would say we want everyone to live out their hero's journey, and that means to really find out, what is my purpose, what is my calling in life, and we do that by getting into a very good nurturing mindset, by transferring that mindset into the body, like feeling really good, understanding how your mind and body work together and how you can use it to your advantage. And then spreading that out into your energy field and radiating it out to everyone around you, and then getting it back and living a great life.
Wow. It says you maybe have practiced that a couple of times, but I like it. Yes, it's now recorded. We could actually clip that out for you if you want us to actually put that up somewhere. We do. So we need to put a marker here at 51 minutes in to say, hey, let's grab Sascha's elevator pitch. So obviously each of you has actually gained something and given something in this. If each of you were to give me one of the lessons that you've learned in the last year because of this association, because of this tribe coming together, what would that be?
Tribe perspective, and also maybe the head that I have on in the Hero Tribe, it's consistency, that how important that is. Like the last year, I was also really like up and down. We're organizing retreats, so obviously the whole world situation, if people can travel or not, and if we can have our camps or not, was a roller coaster as well. And just like the work, was that we really learned how important the consistency is to keep it moving. And we had some times where we fell out of our discipline and continuously working out again, and we directly got the feedback, how that affects our work and our team as well. And that's definitely what I take also from last year, to really make sure there's the consistency of work. Yeah, you guys?
Yeah, well, I would answer it on a more global perspective. Last year and the 2 last years were, I guess, quite challenging for almost everyone on this planet. And for us, it also meant concentrating, focusing on what we can really do in our vicinity, what we can do with the tribe, what we can do personally. And it emphasized these 2 basic choices that we always have. Is more living in survival mode, focusing on what the world throws at us, or going to creation mode. And with whatever I have available, even if that might be limited in that time and space, create what I want. And I think that's a great learn from the last 2 years that I would like to deepen also in myself. And there is not much we can do as humans. We can be thrown around by the world, kicked around, or we can say, hey, wait a minute, I want to feel that way, so I try to do that. I try to create this life that I want. Maybe still the universe says, hey, I have other plans for you, but if I'm only looking at the bad things and the survival mode and the manipulation happening in this world, then nothing happens and I'm stuck in the ordinary world.
Yeah, then we have been on medium scale, on large scale, now dive into tiny scale now, and and a question from individual experience or from the personal perception. For me, the lessons learned from last year were respecting the natural rhythms of outer and inner processes, and not trying to push through certain processes that are not timed to open up yet, but patiently observing the self. Hey, there's something going on. When do you want to show up? When am I allowed to look at you? And if I look at you like prematurely, I might be disguised by something inside of me that doesn't want to see the true core of what's going on really. So being really patient and trusting in that the body and the mind at some like true core, they know when time for certain healings happens, and not wanting to rush things or feeling like driven by the speed or the pace of society that, oh, I need to grow faster, I need to develop better and more, like just listening to the own body and going the natural law, you could say.
Got it. Yeah, one of my coaches actually talked about this idea of push energy. The push is very rarely helpful for us. So it's awesome. That's one of the lessons that you're learning at this time, because it's that, again, it's allowing things to take their proper time. So I know I can be in that push mode too. IT tends to be the go-go, tends to be more responsive rather than creating, but I'm glad that each of you have this space where, and being conscious of the lessons too. So that to me is that accountability and celebration phase is, I experienced this and this is what I extracted out of it. This is what I distilled from it. So I can then apply it into the next phase of what we're doing.
It's actually also really a great question. So thank you for asking it. Love, like each time, like when the years change, like the time between the years, we always love to retreat for ourselves and make like a private retreat and really reflect on, hey, what happened last year? What did we learn? What can we take from it? What can we let go of it really? Not only what do we want to let go of, but what is time to be let go of now? And also creating visions for the next year. So this reflecting and going into retrospective is really something that is worth doing several times a year or a day even.
I guess that kind of, triggers another question me. I was getting ready to wrap up, but I'm curious for you if there is a daily ritual, a weekly ritual, a monthly ritual, or following that rhythm of rituals where you do have retrospective recovery.
Yeah, I would say, first of all, we are ritual people. We love rituals and routines, and it's also a big part of the tribe. And when, for example, when we came here, we arranged a 2-hour morning routine, which we sometimes don't do completely, especially when there are some meetings or whatever. But it's always like the aim to have that full routine, which covers meditation, breath work, some qigong, some physical training, and also sharing around. And that then can be quick, or it can end up in the rest of the day is sharing and healing, which then stops our Hero Tribe activities, but that's important
in the long run.
And also just last evening, Joana, a beautiful shamanic journey evening with us. So we make sure that so we have the short-term, the daily routines, which we always aim that they cover all this, the Triforce, our soul, body, and connection aspects. And then weekly or like monthly schedule where we see that we also fit in some specials and something that nurtures us, that keeps the ball of the hero's journey rolling.
And then like often we also do new moon or full moon rituals. Not every time, it's not always fitting with our schedule, but we try to do that. And then also we have the year circle with like Easter's coming up, and we will have like a spring ceremony for Easter. And then so we try to really also have these landmarks for the change and the shifting of the year and the environment, to not lose that connection and make these framed experiences, to don't lose track of time in the year, because it's so easy to lose time when you do work a lot on the computer. It's a whole different reality, and so we want to actually stay in the outside reality as much as possible, and the rituals help a lot for that.
Got it. Yeah, I know that's a part that I want to build more of into my systems, is those rituals, because I'm at a computer 10, 12, sometimes 15 hours a day. And like I said, the vehicle for my coaching practice is being out in nature. And it can be tough whenever, even the last couple of times I've gone out, it's like I'm in nature and I'm too busy thinking about work, and I haven't spent enough time to do that disconnect of, let's actually just be present for a moment.
We had a similar talk a few days ago.
Especially since the Heroes Tribe has moved as much as it has. I can certainly see the uniqueness of each of those seasons, each of those landmarks, like you had mentioned, in different places all over the world. And there's such a unique experience, even in the same place the seasons are different. I know here in the Northeast part of the United States, we have had the strangest weather. We had snow 2 days ago, and it's 50 degrees Fahrenheit now. And it's happened 4 times already just in the last month and a half. But every experience, I think, has this opportunity to feed our soul for sure. Is there any other things you wanted to cover before I wrap up? Actually, let me ask this question. If someone wants to learn more about the Heroes Tribe, where do they go? Where do they start on this journey with you?
They can start visiting our website, which is www.hero-tribe.com, and follow us on Instagram, or we have a wonderful Facebook group, so we are always happy to see new members there. And we have a monthly recurring event, the Tribe Time. It's a free online event every first Wednesday of the month, so the next one will be the 6th of April. I don't know when this podcast will be shown. Check us out there. It's 90 minutes with the 3 of us diving into Qigong and meditation, into the hero's journey. And on our website, you can check out our camps. We will be in Italy in July this year and in Poland in October. We are planning for more camps coming up in the next years when traveling and everything will be easier and more convenient again. And we're just looking forward to everyone who joins. I love to have a close relationship with the people in our tribe. So you can get a call when you sign up with us, because we really call people and see where they are on their hero's journey.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I think it is certainly one of those phases of when do you bring the elixir back. So that communication is that as you're coming back to the tribe, as I've gone out and I've adventured, and I'm now bringing that wisdom back so that you can learn more. And I very much appreciate that personal connection too. So it is, once again, we come back to that authentic networking aspect is, I want to work with people that I know. And as you're talking about your new team members, it's someone coming off the street that you don't actually have a connection with, don't have already some sort of foundation. It's another reason why I wanted to have you here, is because I know that you and I, Camilla, have really bonded on working through some of these things. So thank you very much, all 3 of you, for spending some time with us and show us what the Heroes Tribe and the Hero's Journey looks like for you.
Yeah, we enjoyed it. Thank you so much for having us.
Always, it was also really lovely to see your dragon and tiger all the time. Big time.
Awesome. So we'll be putting in the show notes here how to get a hold of the Heroes Tribe, and so that you can actually connect and actually potentially unfold your hero's journey. They do, as they mentioned, doing in-person camps, but and you're doing your mentorship work as well online, or is that actually in person only?
No, it's online as well. So we have customers from New Zealand, Australia, Canada, US, and all over Europe. So we do it.
However, they're allowed to visit us.
Yeah.
Awesome. When you're here stateside, we'll certainly have to arrange something, but that's a big world in and of itself. So once again, thank you very much for your time. If anybody has any questions that they want to pass on to the Heroes Tribe, or you want to know if you want to be interviewed here on the Elevate Your Best podcast, please put that comment in here or reach out to us. So the website is elevateyourbest.com. And we love having amazing introspective people who are doing intentional living, which I very much feel that the Heroes Tribe is focusing on, is live your journey, be on your hero's path. Thank you very much for joining us. My name is Michael Danklefs of Elevate Your Best. Have a fantastic rest of your week, and we'll see you next week. Thank you. Awesome.
Yeah.